I chose how culture affects communication, and I chose this topic because it's always been interesting to me ever since I was a child. Because I'm biracial, just going from like my mother's side of the family's house to my father's side of the family's house, everything was always like, I wouldn't want to say drastically, but like the smallest things were always very different. Like just from the way they greet someone to the way they respond to someone to the body language, it was always very different. Having my mom being white and my dad being African American, it was always very different. And I always found that very interesting to me, and I always wondered like why and like what all went into it. And when being brought this assignment, I was struggling to grasp a topic at first. And then I was one day I was just like, I've always been really interested in like diversity and stuff, and I don't remember where I was at, but like I started thinking about like different cultures and stuff, and so I was like, I can apply this to my paper, how culture affects communication. And so I texted my friend Suzanne. She goes to school with me. Well, we're in Corona right now, but she goes to school with me, and she's Arabic. And I didn't always, but since the beginning, like when I found the topic, I knew that she would have been the perfect one to interview because I chose the role of a news journalist. So I knew that she would be the perfect one to interview because she's super sweet, and just like I knew she would, she accepted very fast. And so the insights into communication I learned from this experience. From this experience, I learned that even though we don't think communication is like, I mean, maybe it's just a me thing, but I didn't really think communication was like that like big of a deal. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. Like, I never realized how like communication really controls everything that we do. Like, we really can't, no one can live without communicating. Like, body language is communicating, eye contact is communicating, different languages is communicating, texting, emailing, phone calling, FaceTiming, all of that is communicating. And I never realized how much we communicate on like a daily basis. And I guess like I never realized like how many different ways there were to communicate. And after doing this assignment, I realized like between me and my friend's culture, how like there were very different ways in that we went about communicating with one another. And I never realized like how small they were, yet how big they were to our culture. I guess I could say like how small like phrases and things were, but like they were big factors in differentiating our cultures. And so an excerpt of the content I created. So I found very interesting the part where Suzanne said that after they compliment someone, they say a specific word. Now, I'm not going to try to pronounce it because I don't know how. I'm not even going to try. But after they compliment someone, they say a specific word. And if you don't say the word after you're done complimenting someone, it's said as though you're giving them the evil eye, which is like kind of like a bad karma thing. And so if you don't say this word after complimenting them, something bad is going to happen to that person. So like they could go home and like they get into a car accident, or the car breaks down, or something bad is going to happen to that person. And so I found it very interesting how one word was such a big thing in a different culture, yet in American culture we don't even know about it. Like, we would have never thought of anything like that. And so that's something that I found very interesting from what I researched. And I also found it interesting how, like, something that I also never realized was how, like, you never really realize, like, how much culture affects communication until, like, you really look into it, because, like, a lot of determining factors in one culture's communication, like, the way they communicate, another culture doesn't even know about it. And that could be someone that's living right next door to you, or, like, my friend. I never even knew that, like, how big those factors were for her. Like, I didn't even know about them. So I found it really interesting how they were such big factors in one culture, yet another culture didn't even know about them.